Most of my joysticks use 84 QT Pie. It's a SAMD based chip, and it works real well. The challenge with it is that the libraries available for it uh, will really only do D input type devices reliably. There's was some work on X input, but I haven't seen anything that has been reliable. Anyhow, it works real great with the Xbox Adaptive Controller, and it will work with the PC, but only as D input. So I've been looking at other options to enable these things to work directly with consoles and X input. So there's a project called GP2040-CE. The CE is for Community Edition. I'm not sure what the GP stands for, probably gamepad or whatever. But that stuff works on a Raspberry Pi Pico or Pico, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I'm from Chicago, so I mispronounce everything. So anyhow, the Pico, the firmware loads on the Pico, and then you have access to all these nice I/O pins. And a big thing here for gamers out there is it supports analog inputs, two sticks, along with D-pad and all the other buttons. So I know a lot of folks use the fighting boards like the Brooks board and other brands, but finding ones that support analog has been increasingly more difficult. So I've been looking towards this solution. Well, this works fine for me because I'm a soldering guy. I solder all the time. But it's not necessarily going to work for folks who don't have as much experience with doing that and don't want to mess up their little boards. So normally this board comes in, like this, just a flat chip. But I thought to myself, you know what? I have a whole bunch of these screw headers, and I could put on the screw header and solder it and then have that available, which is fine and all, except I think it's going to bump into some of the components. I haven't really tried it. And regardless, I do not have the patience to sit here and solder all of these things. So I said, I'm sure somebody's already come up with a solution. And sure enough, these breakout boards are available, and they break out all the pins of the Pico, uh, and everything goes out to these little tiny screw terminals. So no soldering required. Just stick your wire in and tighten it down, which can be its own adventure, but it's a heck of a lot easier than doing the soldering. Well, that would mean that I would have to solder headers to this board, and you know that, again, I don't want to go through all that tedium. Well, fortunately, Raspberry Pi makes a header version of this board, and these are the original Picos. This isn't the 2 or the 2W. These are the original. GP2040-CE uses the original. But this is pretty much the same, except it doesn't. It has the headers already installed. It's only like a buck more, so my goodness, there's no way I could do that inexpensively. Let the robots do that work. So those are available with headers pre-installed. Here's my breakout board waiting for headers, and so you end up with something like this. So the Pico just plugs right into that board. You get all the breakouts. The form factor is pretty small. It's not bad. It's let's see, it's about 50 or 5 centimeters by 5. Is it 5 by 5? It's close to that. I think it's close to a square. It doesn't look like a square, but anyway, this is what I'm going to be experimenting next. And it's a recommendation I say you look into if you're making your own fighting boards or joysticks or whatever, or you want to have an alternative to things like the Xbox Adaptive Controller or the PS5 Access Controller or the very hard to find Nintendo one, which I can't remember the name of it because it's so hard to find. Um, but this part ends up being, even with the breakout board, buying it in ones from Amazon ends up being cheaper than all of those options. So this is something I'm looking into right now to potentially integrate and to be able to provide for people, or people could just buy it on their own. Um, let's see what else. The other neat thing about the GP2040-CE firmware is that it allows you to switch to native console outputs. So allegedly, and I have not tested this yet, but allegedly Xbox, PlayStation, the 3, the 4, the 5, probably the 2, the 1 if you have it, I'm sure. Maybe not the 1, but at least the ones with USB. Nintendo Switch, and so on. And X output. So right into this could get plugged right into the computer, and Steam should recognize it as a standard X input. Now, again, I have not tested all of this yet in real life because I don't believe it until I do it myself. But this looks promising as an inexpensive option and a flexible option to creating your own controllers without relying on, Brooks, etc. Fighting boards, which are becoming increasingly hard to find. So, fingers crossed on this one.